Hi everyone. Okay, good evening.
Hello, good evening. Good evening,
Hi,
sir.
Bruno. Okay.
Yeah, good evening, sir.
Hello.
Hey,
Hi,
everyone.
Hans.
Hello, hello.
Okay. Hi, Jaya.
Good evening, sir. Good evening,
Hi.
everyone.
Yes. Okay. Excellent. Okay. Yeah. So, hi, Anthony. You're back. So, Anthony, you're back from Germany, right?
Good evening, sir.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Very good. Okay, yeah, so let's start tonight. Okay, tonight we will talk about this very interesting topic. It's called Smart Structure AI-Driven Organizational Design, right? So we cover a few very new area. I hope that it will be very useful and relevant to all of you, especially you are thinking about building a new structure, a modern organizational structure, right? So I think that that will be very, very relevant, very useful for all of you. Okay, yeah. So let me just start the program first. Hold on. Okay. Okay, yeah. So good. Excellent. Okay, yeah. So tonight we will look at the smart structure AI-driven organizational design. We will look at the various type of organizational structure. Hopefully, it will be very fun to all of you. Okay, yeah. Okay, yeah. So, okay, so look at the organizational structure. So we will look at the historical approach. What is the traditional theory for organization, right? So in the traditional way, if you look at the early century, it emphasized mainly very much on the efficiency hierarchy, right? Yeah. So it's a very much on scientific approach. So when you go to 1930 and 50, then it's more towards like human relationship. So you're focusing on the employee motivation. The organization being formed mainly is to motivate people to work better, right? So I think that is approach. Then in the 1960s or 70s, they are focusing on the contingency theory, right? So they understand that no single organization design fit all the situation, right? So as a result, the structure is very depends on the technology, okay, and the environment. Of course, when you go to 21st century, it's very much on the modern approach, right? Then modern approach become one of the key area. Of course, today we'll talk about not only the modern design, we also will look at the AI, right? So we want to look at AI, how AI can help us in the whole organizational structure. Right. Okay. So we are looking into specialization and division of labor, and we don't expect one person can do everything, right? So we look at the specialization, which area that they think they can do better. So what we do is that we break the task into different specifications, specialized role. For example, in the very early, the Ford assembly line, right? So they break the whole entire car manufacturing into different process. It's a car water flow process. And of course, over this, but sometimes we worry that if over specialized, it may reduce flexibility, right? Yeah, and also the innovation, we cannot be too innovate, right? We also need to consider a human factor. This why if you look at the whole hierarchy and of authority, so this is a traditional hierarchy. So it's a very clean, very clear change of demand, right? You give instruction, then all the stuff will follow, right? Something a military approach, right? Then the other one is a flat organization, very few layer, empower every employee. For example, startup. As a staff, we don't expect a lot of people, right? So the staff, the founder mainly is giving control. So it doesn't make sense to have too many layers, right? So it's from the traditional hierarchy approach to the flat hierarchy approach. Also, speaking of control, so this depends on the number of subordinate in the manager oversee. So it means that if it's a lot of manager level, then in this case, the speed of control is high, right? So wider speed of control, it will reduce the cost. It may weaken the supervision, And of course, example, the tech organization, we don't want to have too much observation, right? We want to motivate staff and let the staff to do all the job. That is a key point. If you look at the narrow space control, it allows closer supervision, but it will increase the bureaucracy, right? So it means that every single instruction you need to feed back to the top one to make it. And unfortunately, a lot of organization, government agency, they are following this way, this structure. So it all depends on what kind of control that you're expecting in your organization. So and if we talk about centralization and decentralization, as decentralized, it means that it's centralized decision making. So decision from the top. For example, Apple, right? So when we still remember Steve Jobs, he is the one that make all the control, make all the decision, right? And for the decentralized organization, the decentralized authority, for example, Google, later we talk about that. Google, very interesting, the autonomous team, right? And they distribute all the authority into different teams, right? So it's very decentralized environment as well. Okay, yeah. So then we look at the formality and the standardization. If we want to have very high formalization, it's a very strict rule. For example, McDonald's, every layout, every outlet, they're following the same rule. Very clear, right? Very clear. It's why they can expand in the world. Sometimes we need to have a more flexible process. Then in this case, we go for the lower formalization. For example, creative agency, right? Creative agency, sometimes we need to consider not only individual, a customer, the rule, because we want to cultivate the creativity, right? So, functional structure. In this structure, we're focusing on the expertise. For example, Google employee, they look at their skill. For example, if you look at the marketing, right, you have a skill of marketing, then in this case, they will give you the right, the control as a marketing leader. And same apply for the finance department. What is the pro and con? What's the advantage and disadvantage? Advantage is efficient in operation. Deeper expertise, it means that is you have better skillful department, right? But disadvantage is creation of silos, very independent, and sometimes slow cross-department collaboration. So every department only focusing their own department, right? So it's a very little communication among them. Then the other approach we can consider is a divisional structure. So divisional structure is, depends on how we divide them. We can divide by the product or the region, also look at the different customer segment. So according to the market segment, then we classify them into different structure or business unit. Advantage of the divisional structure, focus on the accountability. When we say about KPI, very clear, no ambiguity. What's the disadvantage? Is the duplicated resources. Because every department, they may have the same, for example, IT department, right? So you may need to have IT department serving individual division, right? So in this case, that may not be a good idea. Right. So then the other one is we have this matrix structure. So what is a matrix structure? Matrix structure, it combines the functionality, and at the same time, they also look at the division approach. For example, LASA, right? LASA, we understand this is the American defense, the aerospace research center. So advantage is very flexible. The internal resource utilization is very good. Disadvantage is sometimes you may get very confused, right? Yeah. So because you may cross one person, they may work in a different division, sometimes can be very, very complicated. And you have this power struggling structure situation. The flat organization, in this case, it will minimize minimum hierarchy, and it will help the advantages, help the decision making. That's good thing about that, right? Disadvantage is lack of the leadership, lack of clear leadership. And that one is why they may have a change into a network structure or hybrid structure, right? So this is a very interesting, very dynamic structure. We all classify as a matrix structure. So now we look at the there's a two business strategy when we're forming a department. One is the cost leadership strategy. The other one is a differentiation strategy. Cost leadership strategy, it focuses on efficiency. For example, Walmart is a centralized structure. Then the other is the differentiation strategy. We emphasize on the innovation. Again, we will talk about Google later. How about the size, right? How big is the size? What is the most optimized or suitable size for your business? Then we look at sometimes we classify them as a different size. If a large firm, normally, because you have a lot of people to manage, right? So normally we look at the more formalized. So it's called need formalization. A small firm need the flexibility, right? How about technology and innovation firm? We call that digital firm. Many of them, they based on the agile structure. So it's a very dynamic. It may change. Okay, so for example, you take on a major project, your structure or organization may change. You may increase a lot of size or increase the size. You hire more people, right? Once the project is done, you may need to do a downsizing, right? Then for the manufacturing firm, yes, based on the design, sometimes you may also need to have very lean organizational size. When the environment is not very clear, for example, today, right, nowadays, is a lot of, in the global environment, is a lot of uncertainty. You may want to consider an adaptable structure. So in that the size of the organization will be changed, depends on the situation. And of course, some stable industry, like electricity, all these things are utility. Then in this case, they are more hierarchical and the sign will not change all the time. But we need to take note on the organizational culture, because if you want to have very innovative cultures, then in this case, flat structure will be better. If you want to follow the traditional cultures, then in this case, hierarchical structure would be the ideal way. So what are the process? Okay, what are the processes for organizational design? Now, before we design that, first, we need to look at the existing structure. Then we look at the objective, because no matter how you design the organizational structure, you make sure that you must align with the business strategy, right? Then also we need to look at the design structure, choose the hierarchy, and also what are department and what is the workflow. So all of them must be well structured. And of course, remember that every time you will change from one structure to the other structure, and make sure that you communicate with your staff. And sometimes you may need to train them, motivate them, right? Of course, monitor evaluation is very important. What kind of challenge in organizational design? Many of the employee may worry about disruption. So you really need to, tell them, communicate with them, right? And also need to balance between flexibility, because organization cannot be too flexible, isn't it, right? Or cannot be too rigid. So you need to balance the flexibility and the control. When we go to globalization, and when you're managing a remote work, you require the adaptability and a digital-friendly environment. So what's the best practice for effective design? You can align structure with the strategy. Make sure that wherever change, wherever you implement a new design, you must meet your organizational goal. That is very important. You must align your mission and the vision very clearly. Encouraging the collaboration, make use of technology, especially the AI technology, right? And need to build your company as a thinking organization. Okay, thinking organization, they have a learning culture, very strong. Any organization, they are not willing to learn, and that's it. Okay, there's no future for organization. In fact, including each of us, right? So this is the reason that we are pushing this program called BAIAS, okay, Business Artificial Intelligence Systems, is to able to help you to understand, adapt into this AI age environment. So one of the very interesting trend is called DAO, right? Within our group also we are implementing the DAO. What is the DAO? DAO is a decentralized autonomous organization. We call DAO. So what is this? If you look at the traditional, it's not new, okay? If you look at the history of DAO, it's not new. it started, okay, and getting popular actually from 2016. It's built on the Ethereum. And of course, today you look at the different, apart of Ethereum, right? Many of them, you can also make use of DAO to build your new future modern organization. So of course, initial challenge for all the digital asset, right, is subject to hacking, right? So because sometimes the smart contract is not very robust, it can be vulnerable. Then, of course, when we started the decentralized government, we need to make sure that everyone understands the decentralized mode. What is the current application? The decentralized finance, the DeFi, is one of the best applications. Many venture capital, if you look at it today, the digital asset environment, they have been using that. The content creation, because they want to have decentralized content creation. And also the social cloud, right? Social network, they also deploy this. Why is very important for us to understand the DAO? Because DAO is transparent, it's very transparent. The transaction decisions are recorded in the public blockchain. So everyone know that there's no hidden agenda. It's autonomous. It means that it's not one single one, even your boss, right? It's not you make all the control. A smart contract execute decision without the middleman, right? And also decentralized, no single point of control and failure, which is good, especially you really want to get the feedback directly from your stakeholder, including your customer. Then you also encouraging the global participation. Anyone with internet access can contribute and government. So it's a very global organization structure. So what's the key feature of DAO? DAO first is a decentralized governance. So decision will make collectively by token holder. It means your organization will tokenize it, right? So everyone have your token, then they can do a voting. And the power is distributed among the members. No single entity is controlled. That is a very interesting organizational structure. It's a smart contract base. So all the rule operation, they all depend on self-executing smart contracts. Okay, so all the company strategy decision all make, okay, is through the smart contracts. A transaction and governance automated, right? Especially with the agency technology, right? AI, agentic AI. So then in this case, you can really reduce many human intervention. It moves very fast. Transparent and trustless. So it means that all transaction and proposal record on the blockchain, right? So you don't need to have like bank, legal entity, all this to execute, right? So directly, for example, customer, when the customer able to, receive the goods, straight away you deduct the payment, right? So everything is clear. Also, it allow everyone to participate. Anyone can join by buying and earning governance token, the digital token. And everyone can involve and propose the change. Okay, so it's a very open, collaborative model. So how can we create a DAO structure, right? First, launching a DAO, you need to set a rule all the regulation written in the smart contracts. And then you need to raise the initial funding, right? Or normally it's raised by token sales. So many organizations, then including the ICO, decentralized crowdfunding, they raise the fund, then they start the business. Of course, many scams also being created, right? And a lot of people got affected by, they are not appropriately using this model. I always mention that when you have DAO, you make sure that you have proper business model. Okay, otherwise it just becomes a scam, right? So you need to be very clear about your business model. But when you deploy the smart contract, the developers define the governance rules. So what is the process? Okay, the proposal and working mechanism, right? You may say, okay, fine, good. I want to implement the DAO structure. So what's the process? The first process is a proposal submission. The members submit proposals for various reasons, right? So for example, right, you can fund the project and changing the rule, right? So or you want to do some acquisition. So once you propose, then all the stakeholder token holders, they will vote for the submitted proposal, right? Because not everyone will agree, right? So smart contract will execute approve the decision. What type of proposal normally the DAO may encounter? The fund allocation and the protocol that you're using, you need to be improved, upgrades. So what kind of voting mechanism you can implement? Most of the time, we have this token weight, weight of voting. So it means one token equal one vote, very clear. So you have more token indirectly, you have more influence. And sometimes we may want to, reduce the one domination, right? So in this case, we can using this quadratic voting scheme also. So how to execute a decision? Of course, executing a decision cannot be manual, right? You must be automate. So automate fund, the fund allocation is very important for the DAO structure. So the funds are allocated based on the voting outcome. No need for a CEO actually. You also don't need to have a management, the key management board. Everything run on the program, on the code, right? Then smart contract execution, approve proposal, trigger automatic execution. For example, developer grant fund by DAO vote, right? So once the vote is there, then the developer can start doing the development. The fund will be released without human intervention. So there's no direct, there's no corruption, there's no bias, everything is transparent, right? So there's a major reason why we set up a DAO. So what's the life cycle for DAO? If we create a smart contract, right? So developer deploy smart contract, defining the governance rule. The initial funding we raise via token sales or decentralized crowdfunding. And this governance activation, token holder begin to vote, okay, propose first, and then after the voting a decision. So once you, for example, this organization called Uniswap, DAO, they will govern the fee and the treasury allocation. Treasury allocation means that what kind of investment they want to make. Then we go to execution. It will approve proposal, trigger automatically, trigger the automatic smart contract execution. For example, right? So once the DAO votes to fund a developer grant, the fund will be released without any human intervention. So then in this case, in terms of the improvement, the DAO can upgrade their government model. Okay, then you can able to move from one voting system to the other system. So that is a kind of life cycle. What type of example for the DAO, decentralized autonomous organization? And just how we mentioned, DAO is the first invented it's around the 2016. Of course, initially when we implement, they may have some hacking, right? So it's why security must be there. And after that is why it's migrate into the Ethereum platform, sorry. Okay, so then what is the Maker DAO? Maker DAO is one of the organization, right? So they are managing the DAO, the DAI, stablecoin. I think we have about stablecoin. It's operating through the decentralized governance, okay? Then the Uniswap, just as we mentioned, also the government, the fee, and they also use it to manage a lot of treasury allocation. So here is just to show off you about some of the example which organization are using the DAO, right? Then if you look at the protocols, then the Maker DAO, Uniswap, and Avia, and they're using the governed blockchain basis of the example. And if you look at the investment, right, and grant, even the public goods and projects, right? So they are it's very clear. The social expert, collector, and also services, right? So they are all the example that we can use. In fact, there's many organizations have been using DAO and very successful. So this is all the advantage, right? Basically, it's not relying on the centralized authorization, the rule enforced by the code, the program. It will reduce the single decision from one or few people, and we can reduce the corruption and the censorship. It encourages anyone with the internet connection can contribute, right? So there's a global participation. And of course, if you look at the, and then if you look at the government attack, right? Yeah. So sometimes if you have control of the major token, of course you can dominate the decision, right? Yeah. And of course, the also user can creating many wallet, okay, to contribute or dominate the vote. So all these things we need to be very careful. It may also slow down the decision sometime because if you want to the rule of that is a consensus. It means that everyone will agree, then you will execute because it depends on how you set in your system, right? In your organization. Then in this case, it will slow down the decision making. And some organizations, some country may not fully understand or fully allow the organization to run under the DAO format, right? So all these things we need to be take note on that for being implement. Okay, yeah. Bruno, you have any question? You have anything on to share, Bruno?
Yeah, I am totally agree about the challenge and the risk. Although we always think that, to be honest, for me, especially, I will think that DAO is actually the futures of any other businesses, including their using community as while I'm using like social media. And nowadays, people that they are not very like the people who are like boss, and then I order you to do something, and even my friends told me that okay, you are a very bossy person, you don't listen to others. So I believe that the community is exactly what we are going to work on it, especially for the DAO is technology is right here. However, the problem is just what Dr. Patrick has said. We still have some challenge and risk, like maybe like when the person who got the all the tokens or the whole bunch of tokens, like 50 or 70%, something like this, and then he or she can manipulate entire process or manipulate entire programs or the community. So I believe that that is a big issue, especially for the people that who are using DAO, would like to have this kind of community. That will be quite going offward or from what you do. So I'm actually thinking is that during the time is what kind of risk or what kind of challenge that okay we face it, and then I'm also thinking that another terms called semi DAO, or is it possible for the organization? So that is what I would like to share. No problem with this. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bruno. Yes, okay. Yeah, Bruno bring up a very good concept called hybrid, right? Yeah, and maybe organization, because right now we know organization may have different division, different business unit, right? So you can practice some of the unit you can put under BAO, right? And some of them is under traditional structure. So what Bruno bring up this hybrid is very interesting, okay? I don't really see the hybrid practice now, but who knows, right? It can be a future trend as well. Thank you very much, Bruno. Okay, excellent. Okay, yeah. So yes, future. So that is why okay. So what kind of future DAO that we just mentioned? It can be hybrid governance model. So it combine on the chain, right? Then of course it can be an on-chain or off-chain resolution. The other one is a DL to DL collaboration. So it's a more complicated model. When we understand the DAO, actually we can able to do an alliance, right? Just I mentioned about putting some business unit, or you have a group of companies, right? Like what we are also a group of companies. So each company, most of the company, we try to implement the DAO, right? So that within our group, we have DAO collaboration. And what we did is that we are going to make use of our corporate token JEP, right? So we're going to implement JEP into all the different business unit. The mainstream adoption, yes, right now, DL is still new, although it's already 2016, but towards a lot of company, it still never heard about DAO, right? Never. In fact, if you look at Reddit, right? Reddit is the global forum that allow information, a lot of discussion. In fact, if you look at the Reddit, and some people look at the Reddit share price, actually very interesting. It's basically DAO. It's the whole entire DAO environment, right? So all the user actually they are running as a community point. And many of them own the share already. So before Reddit going IPO, actually they have tokenized. Okay, they have token already. It's a very interesting, very successful model of DAO. So if your business require a lot of community, then you should consider DAO. Future, of course, definitely they will improve the security and tooling, right? So right now, DAO still require a lot, right? Yeah. Right, Chance, right? Very good point. Okay, Chance, you may want to share you have posed a very interesting point out here.
Sure, yes. Because I think we are just the whole world is just being exposed to the the potential of crypto and Web3, right? And there are the transformation will be very profound, but we are still on a very early stage. So I think the most likely way to for company organization to adopt is firstly to respect the local laws, right? To set up your company in per the local laws, but in a way that you also factor in the efficiency of you also try to adopt partially right the tools and processes that are typical in a so-called DAO organization. For example, you use token or blockchain to replace the traditional bookkeeping on your cap table, right, capitalization table. So that has been happening right a lot more often than not in the traditional tech firms, and it's a huge efficiency game and also like a stakeholder governance game. So I think that will be the mainstream, at least in the next few years, other than going too extreme, right, to the fully decentralized organization or fully decentralized, stakeholding. Yeah, just my 2 cents on what's immediate, pattern that for this kind of adoption. Yeah, thank you, Patrick.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Right now, in fact, there's a lot of work for government to look into it. We all know that traditional private company, you cannot have more than certain number of shareholders, right? So this is a traditional structure. And then after you go IPO, fine, you can have as many shareholders as possible because your share is public. And then we go to DAO, right? Then DAO means that with IPO, actually you can have almost unlimited shareholder by using the tokenization. And now the question is, how can we integrate all together, right? As Chance mentioned, right? So there's a lot of, a lot of new format transformation need to be done, right? But if you ask me, I think in future, DAO will play a very significant part. Okay, every organization actually they will tokenize it. And with the tokenization, definitely it will help us to move our business much faster. Okay, I think that will be the key direction. Okay, thank you very much. Let's move on. So what is the summary? Summary is the major changes or the radical shift from traditional structure, right? Company organized structure, and DAO definitely enable borderless organization. It's transparent, and we call it's a very, very democratic approach. And of course, the challenge we just mentioned, Chance I mentioned, right? And Bruno also have highlighted the regulational issue, right? So regulational issue and the security concern. These two are the major things that, I think that will be resolved very soon, hopefully. Then the innovations strengthen the ecosystem. We always say, or always mention, right? If you run a business, you can sell the product and services. And then after that, then of course you can sell a platform. But many organizations right now, from the very beginning, they are building ecosystem because ecosystem is a higher end and the best to penetrate to the market. And the advancement of the governance model and also blockchain technology with AI, right? I already mentioned that blockchain is very interesting, but blockchain with AI even more exciting, right? So I think that would be the power future as well, right? Yeah. So okay, yeah, okay, good. So the future implementation, right? The future implication also require us to redefine the business operation. The DAO only can introduce the decentralized decision-making process. The potential for increased transparency and efficiency, we did mention that. Then you transform this process from traditional organization into the decentralized governance models. And you also enhance the public participation and accountability. Right. So you can imagine that if a university running this DA model, right, even students, they are the stakeholder. I think I agree that would be really help the movement or the development of the modern university. So you empower the local communication through the decentralized platform, and you will facilitate the collective action, not only one single action by the team management, right? So it's a collective approach. And this new era of the decentralized collaboration, the innovative approach to the collaboration, and it will pose, potential to widespread to every department, okay, every division as well. Okay, yeah. So I think that will be good. So before I go into the next session, okay, anyone want to share? And also I saw Chance have a new post, right, Chance? Okay.
Yeah, I just share a practical tool that I've been using. So it's called squad.so. Yeah, you can check it out, the user interface. Yeah.
Okay, very good. Okay, yeah. So Squid Stocks SO is one of the earlier mature DAO governance application, right? Okay, built on the very popular Solana, right? So this is a cheap and fast. Okay, cool. Thank you very much, Chance. Okay, so next we will look at two organizational structure. They are very successful, and they actually one of the typical example that normally I will share under the DAO model. A lot of people do not know that Huawei is actually running a DAO. They're the first company in China running a DAO actually. So let's look at that. How does it run? A bit of background. Many of us we heard about Huawei, right? And also I read the news that today Huawei have launched its latest AI chipset. Okay, so challenge the NVIDIA. So okay, if you're actually interested, you can have a look, right? But by the way, yes, today is the leading global provider of telecommunication equipment, smartphone, and all the IT. Soon will be AI solution. So Ren Jingfei, right? Ren Jingfei he founded in 1987. He started as an engineer. He compete in every major area. Competitor is Apple, Samsung, and Cisco. All this. So a lot of people know that they're starting with challenging the Cisco in the router. They started with the this Huawei router. They are aware of the importance of organizational structure. Okay, the whole organizational structure is very flexible. It's a wonderful model. It's so flexible, but at the same time, it's very disciplined structure. Okay, he can do it. He enables rapid innovation and will ensure efficient operations. And it's very adaptable in the today competitive environment, right? Even the last few years' time, right? It's under a huge and a big crisis, but it still survive, it still grow. Yes, they are using a hybrid model. They combine the functional, geographical, and division structure, and it optimize the performance. So if any of you interested to start your business, I think you should also read the book, okay? Huawei book. There's a couple of books. 2023, 2025 also have new book come out. Okay, look at that. So what is the Huawei organizational design philosophy? First, customer-centric. They will dedicate a team for enterprise, carrier, and consumer segment, but they prioritize the customer need. That is the major focus. Of course, today, if you don't focus on the customer, it's very difficult to move actually, right? So Huawei is customer focused. That is the first thing. The second thing is that they are decentralized decision making. So they empower every region, office, and department, business unit to make decision. Okay, not the CEO run. So all the strategic decision is made independently. So we all know that Huawei is an innovative and R&D based organization, right? And the 10% of the annual revenue and pour back into the R&D. Okay, so this is a rule, and they are also looking at innovation. There's a lot of pipeline. It's not like innovation. They have 2 or 3 innovation after you finish. That's it. No, it's a pipeline. Okay, yeah. So they have strong innovation pipeline support by specialized research center worldwide. If you look at the number of patent from Huawei, is one of the leading. Okay, in terms of the patent. So what they do is because of Huawei have different business units, so they have carrier business group. I think you will know the carrier, right? So you know telecom 5G, you need a 5G station, you need to have 5G infrastructure, right? So this group is carrier 5G. Of course, they're working on the 6G, 5.5, 6G, right? 6G is coming in very soon. And then also they have Enterprise Business Group, EBG. So they provide Huawei Cloud, the cloud computing, and also offer AI solution. And I think it's not secret anymore, right? So this AI chipset, the immediate alternative, right? So Huawei have been has announced. So today is a major news, so you may want to check it out. The other one is the consumer business group. They develop the smartphone. We all know that, right? Then, of course, you know, they're creating a wearable, and the Harmony OS will be the major product, right? So it's a it's a same experience when using all the Huawei devices, right? So it's very, very interesting. Okay, you may want to check out for the Harmony OS alternative to the iOS and Android, of course. So the functional approach, how they define the whole company is they based on functional. The R&D, right? So they have a bigger segment and they have a research lab across the world, not only Asia actually. The Europe, North America, they have very strong research center. And also they have a very sophisticated supply chain operation in terms of the human resources and corporate services. Yes, that is a key thing. So that is a functional approach. The other approach is the geographical approach. So it based on the market. Of course, we know that Huawei is from China, right? So China definitely is one of the major market for them. So in this case, then they have a China's their structure in region structure is including China's Asia Pacific, Europe, Middle East, Africa, of course, America. Even they are heavily impacted by US sanctions, but they still run the research center there. That's very interesting. Okay, so the founder believe that it should not be one single CEO dictate the whole business development. So they have this rotation. Okay, we call rotations. There's 3 CEO is under rotation basis. Every 6 months they will rotate. Right? Yeah. So some of you may ask about Singapore government structure. Also, Singapore government is a rotation basis. Of course, not the prime minister, president, but all the department minister, right? The main minister, the upper prime minister, all the Ministry of Education, minister of the and health. That sometimes they rotate. Why rotate? Because they are able to make sure that everyone familiar in the process, right? It will ensure the diversified leadership. Very interesting. So then in terms of global R&D, right, as I mentioned that they spend 10% of the revenue, not profit, revenue back into the research. So it's a huge research capability. So they offer a 20 institute across the worldwide. This is a location, okay, yeah. And when they're focusing on the areas of research, they have 5G, artificial intelligence development, right? And also semiconductor research, IoT also. Right. So I think that is the reason why Huawei, regardless of the difficulty, the uncertain environment, I think they still survive and they're still growing very well. Okay, good. Then yeah, the board. How about the board of directors? The board of directors, they oversee the long-term strategy. Of course, the founder, Ren Jingfei, he's the one also, but he is also a rotating chairman. Then they have an executive management team, so lead by rotating CEO. So when you're your turn, right, then you will be looking at that, and these 3 are the rotating executive member. And the sales and marketing are very important. So they have a sales and marketing. They operate through the local partnership. And then the way they operate is that, okay, they don't really only have a Huawei salesperson. They also have a lot of local partnership. All right, yeah. And also they navigate the geographical restriction. It means that Even they're not in China, they're different overseas, right? So there are local partnership across everywhere in the world. So that is the reason that why the product, in fact, the marketing is very good, very good. The moment that they market, right, or the moment that they are intend to release the product, right, they already start the marketing. The moment that they are launching it, long queue, a lot of people queuing to buy it, right? Like Apple also very successful in the marketing. The strategy must support the structure, and structure also must support the strategy. That is very important. We call alignment, right? So when you do a global expansion, the regional autonomy allow quick adaptation to local market. You see, technologies, yes, different country and different background, adoption of technology are different, right? So you need to really have very strong capability or called adaptability to local market. That's how they do it. They don't market everything from China, right? So because worldwide they have different partners. So this is reason the heavy R&D investment keep Huawei ahead in 5G and AI, in fact. Right? So if you talk about organization structure, if you want to build a very innovative organization, please look at Huawei. You may not copy exactly what Huawei do, right? But definitely there's a lot of learning, a very good point to learn. And very resilient. And when they decentralize the supply chain, right, then when US sanction come in and Huawei have flexibility, they don't rely on one single route. So if we look at the comparison between the different organizations, what kind of company structure that they use, and what kind of key feature, right? Yeah. So this is one of the feature that they have. Okay. Yeah. So the feature that they've been doing, one of the major feature is the hybrid. Okay. So Huawei using hybrid model. Right. Yeah. And also Apple is very much on the based on Steve Jobs until now, they are still doing this. It's more for functionable, right? Yeah, and centralized from the Steve Jobs, now Tim Cook. Of course, when Steve Jobs around, obviously you can see that is the whole of Apple is very, very innovative, right? So when he is not around, and of course we see a lot of challenge. How about Samsung? Samsung is family control. Okay. We all know that in Korea, those top tech company is actually a family owned, right? So they are using another way of managing it. It cannot be replicated in other country. The Cisco is based on the product base. It focuses on enterprise network, right? So I think that is a very useful diagram slide for us to understand how can we structure our organizational when we are growing and even we start the company, right? We should follow that because how we changing a business structure is very difficult, okay, very challenging. So yeah, here is one of that. So what kind of challenge in Huawei? First is of course is a U.S. sanction and the supply chain disruption, right? And Huawei is running a huge global workforce. It's over almost 200,000 employees. And if you don't, when you're running such a big organization, the only thing you can hold them back, everyone work together, is the culture. That's why without culture, no way you can able to manage 200,000 people. No way. But when you have a very strong culture, that everyone know that even they don't meet each other, but they have similar characteristics, similar behavior. That is the power of organizational structure, or power of organizational culture. And then, of course, you need to be a balance between the bureaucracy and the agility, right? So you cannot be too flexible, but also you cannot be too rigid, right? So because if you're too rigid, too many layers, you will risk of slow decision making, right? And it's a big challenge when organization will grow as well. Okay. So what's the future? Okay, here is the future. What is the future for Huawei structure? Okay, so if you look at that, this is a development that we can look at that, and of course, at the end of the day, we hope that Huawei able to last for long time, very, very long time, and end of the day, you were able to achieve the sustainability. It's why we're talking about the sustainable business organization, right? So we hope that we are able to see a lot of very interesting products come out from Huawei, right? Yeah, so what future focus on Huawei? They will look at the adaptability for the digital transformation. Obviously, they will be looking more into the we call cloud computing. In fact, we are not only talking about cloud computing, and we're talking about AI cloud computing. Because AI cloud will be the main thing, and in future you see a lot of processing is done by cloud, right? Yeah, and this AI chipset is very important because with the AI chipset, then they can emphasize on the advanced AI technology. The other area that Huawei will do is the AI. We mentioned about Huawei, right? So now it's a time for us to look at another company. Huawei is from the East, as we always mentioned that as Chance also highlight, right? So we believe that we need to learn good thing from the East and the West, right? So this part is the West. Google have a decentralized organizational structure, very, very powerful, and this is why we have been seeing a lot of innovation product from Google, right? Google structure is called decentralized organizational structure from Google. Let's introduce to give some introduction to Google structure. Google are adopting the decentralized organizational structure. It's adopted by Google under the Alphabet Limited. They are using the matrix model. Okay, matrix model. It's a combination of functional and product-based divisions. Promote flexibility, encourage the innovation. At the same time, the hierarchy is flat. So anyone in Google can talk to the CEO directly, right? It's quite amazing. Google is a lot of employee, right? So why they do that? Because it allows the efficient decision making and to foster collaboration across the different departments. In fact, that is not easy because if you are running such a big organization, if your structure is not defined well and anyone just come in and disturb the CEO, then that's it, right? So they're able to have very good culture. At the same time, they can move very, very fast. The key feature of the structure is a functional base. As I mentioned, department operate independently, and they just specialize on the focus and the expertise. A product base. This is why every time Google come up with a new product, right, they form a new team. And the teams organize around the specific product or services. And they shift the response from market change and the customer change. So the moment that the customer or the market environment change, instantly they make the changes. So they're able to keep up to date. Right. Of course, people argue that, if, Google look like it's a bit lost, a little bit behind in the AI development. Yeah, I agree that, right? Yeah. So, but Google is catching up and we still don't know that at the end who will be the winner, right? But I'm sure that Google is working very hard. This is what we call a very flat organizational structure, reduce the number of hierarchical levels, encourage open communication. They empower employees to contribute idea and make the decision, right? So that is where the trust is there, right? You need a very, very trustable environment. The same thing, the leader trusts the employee also trusts the leader. The best practice for distributed team, simplify communication and organize the team calendar so that everyone share the calendar. So in this case, you're able to coordinate meeting and you can able to meet the deadline. Empower through sharing space, right? So they create project space in the Google chat and facilitate ongoing discussion. Even discussion, we collate everything together can be a huge knowledge base. Of course, Google itself, they're using Google Workspace, right? The Google Drive, document, Google Sheet, and Google Meet. And they establish a very clear norm in terms of Google. Of course, the company culture is very strong. So how do they manage, right, the distributed team? Okay, you may ask, hey, I can distribute everything, everyone in a different team, but the thing is that can you manage them or not, right? So how can we managing them? Technology come in. They leverage technology, utilize advanced tool for this seamless communication. And the platform is very important. They're using platforms for efficient project management. I just mentioned the culture is very important, right? So they encourage remote collaboration, and also they promote a culture of inclusively and also the support. Google Workplace app open up to everyone, right? So also we can make use of the Google Workplace. The Google Workplace include Google Gmail for email communication, the calendar for scheduling and time management. Everyone make use of the Google Cloud storage and file sharing. Google document can create and edit in multi-users. The sheet for the spreadsheet management, and also you can able to meet everyone for the video conference. It's effective so that you're able to manage a team regardless of the location, also able to improve the productivity. Of course, Google need to have very strong technology infrastructure, otherwise they cannot support the environment, right? Yeah, so they have a various tool for this kind of decentralized collaboration. Google Distributed Cloud, they're able to build, deploy, and able to scale from a small application into a huge mission critical application. And that definitely will help the flexibility and scalability, right? So when we talk about this collaborative environment, why we need that? Because it can encourage interaction. The creativity come in when we have everyone collaborate with each other. That is very important. So the interaction is very important. Then after that, we can able to create virtual environment for team collaboration. And also the workspace design. The physical, they still rely on physical space. In fact, after COVID, the Google encouraged staff to come back to the office, right? Because they still feel that physical space optimized for the teamwork. Virtual team is for communication, so they're very clear about this setup. When you mentioned about the encouraging interaction, yes, and we need to promote active engagement. It's not when we have problem, then we talk to each other. No. Even the problem haven't come in yet, right? We also promote active engagement. And then why they can do that? Because they have very strong sense of community among Google. This virtual collaboration, they will utilize platforms like Google Workspace, and they can also have various tools. So I want to highlight about Google culture. When we form the organizational structure, it's autonomy and also innovation. So they encourage the individual innovation and creativity. The employment actually empower. The employee empowerment is very important. So that actually they are very strong, even you are very, very low ranking, right, in the company. But you can post, you can keep a very good idea. They respect you, you see. And the 20% policy is encouraged. It encourages employee to work on the passion project. I think it's very interesting. Google is very famous on this 20% time policy. It means that you can they count the total working hours. So 20% of the hours, right? The 20% of the work time, you can do something that you like to do. Of course, must be related to Google, of course, right? Yeah. So they encourage innovation and creativity. They have this open communication, promote transparency and free exchange of idea. Right? Everyone got the idea they can share and allow everyone to contribute to the decision-making process. So when the AI come in, right, now the last topic we want to share is how AI matter in organizational design. Why this week our key topic is talking about AI in organizational design. The AI help us to do prediction. So it's a data-driven decision-making. So the predictive analytics is for informal choice. It is an informed choice, right? So it free up the human creativity so that all the routine tasks we don't need to do, and we can free up our human creativity and we can apply in organizational design. And now we are able to build a dynamic team. so that we can able to find the best talent to match the job. It's a real time. So we don't really worry about the adaptability issue, right? Because there is a dynamic changes, right? So in AI, in workforce planning and talent allocation, if you look at the IBM have a supercomputer Watson, right? It's also is a famous in AI as an AI powerhouse. So it use AI to analyze the skill gap. So that when the task come in, the IBM will be able to predict what is the skill gap. What's the gap? Gap, it means that it's not something that need to improve. Otherwise, the existing team or talent cannot fit the job, right? So in this case, they will be look at all the IBM team or individual skill, so that when the new task come in, the machine, the AI will pick up the best person to fit the job, to do a job, right? Then the Unilever's AI hiring tools, they are able to access 1.8 million job applicants in the world, annually, yearly, so that they can able to reduce the bias and improve the role fit. Then when you form an organization or the team structure, based on this, they're able to get the best talent. The impact of on the structure, right? Of course, we know that the flatter organization structure with AI able to handle the administrative oversight, so that we don't need to worry too much about the routine tasks, administrative tasks. And you were able, based on skill-based rather than job title. Sometimes very interesting, right? Even you carry the job, or that person carry a job, but doesn't mean that you can do a job. Or you only carry a title, right? Yeah, because of the changing environment. So in this case, AI in workplace planning and talent allocation become very critical. So let's look at the AI-powered decision-making layers. Google DeepMind optimize the data center operation autonomously. So in the background, when we're running the data center, in fact, DeepMind is doing a lot of hard work. They're doing a lot of monitoring. Then the sales, AI-driven supply chains automatically adjust the logistic based on real-time disruption. In the sense that Shell, we know that, right? Shell is basically a petroleum, they are the petrol company, isn't it, right? So if certain disaster come in and certain reason, certain route is affected, right? Then the Shell will do an auto routing. Then in this case, the AI-powered decision-making also have an impact to organized structure. Why? Because decentralized decision-making with AI provide real-time insight. Right? So because we mentioned that right now it's not one person making all the decision. Everyone is making a decision. If everyone can able to make use of AI, then in this case they were able to make a faster decision. And it will be reduction in middle management role. Why? Because middle management will be replaced by AI. Right? So organization can be getting flatter, simpler, and end of the day we can improve the decision making. So the dynamic organizational network, like Siemens have AI organizational design. It's a very powerful. They can simulate 100 structure changes. So before they do a project, right? So Siemens, the German company, they're able to simulate, look at a different 100 structure and do simulation and find out the best structure, aim to maximize innovation. So yeah, so there's a reason why Siemens is still very successful nowadays. Okay, Spotify. Spotify, we have been enjoying Spotify services, right? Then they use AI to reconfigure the team, and they were able to base on the project. Once they're able to adopt the changes, they have a good impact on structure. Very positive impact with the AI application in organizational design. They have an adaptive liquid team, very dynamic team. It's not manager assigned the role. Now AI will base on the member, the employee capability, and reassign the role quarterly. Last time it's very difficult if we rely on the HR manager or the CEO to do it, right? Because we as a human, we prefer the stability, right? So with assigned role, it means there are a lot of instability, and sometimes the HR or your CEO cannot do it. Let AI to do it, right? Yeah, so then this hybrid structure is very powerful, and this is why AI integrate functional and project-based team very well. And AI also able to implement based on the algorithm, right? We call it algorithmic hierarchy. There's a couple of model, right? In this model, let AI handle all the repetitive decision. Sometimes we don't make any new decision, so let the AI to make it, right? Then in this case, some of the decision is routine, and we already found the decision, the result. So then human will focus on the strategic creativity. For example, Amazon automated warehouse staff reduce 4 management layer. Last time you need to have 4 layers. Say every decision need to from the bottom to up. Okay, so now they cut off 4 layers. So from the 10 layer now becomes 6 layer. And the other one is we call AI augmented network. What is the AI augmented network? This is something new, right? So AI mapping of the informal inference network, right? For example, tools like Microsoft Workplace Analytics, right? So they were able to map up, because sometimes if we find that certain inference or certain information may not be relevant, then in this case we may not want to include in our environment. Then the other one is a formation of structure around key collaborators. As I mentioned, right, collaboration is a great process for improves the creativity and innovation. So we don't focus on the role, the formal role. Wow, manager, David is passing instruction, we better listen. We don't do that, right? We focus on collaboration. What kind of discussion among the team, right? Then we focus. And then in this case, AI able to do that. And for example, GitLab, remote structure, they're using the AI detect collaboration bottleneck. Sometimes in the collaboration, we also want to know which part is the bottleneck. If we can able to solve it, the whole collaboration will be very smooth. That is what we can do with the AI augmented network. The predictive project matrix, right? So the AI can predict the project risk. So when we form a project group, before we form the group, then we can use an AI to predict the potential issue in the project. Then in this case, we can able to preempt, right, or proactive risk management. So last time we get a project, we got a customer, then we quickly form a project, then we find a conflict, then we solve. But now AI can able to predict what's the potential, especially based on individual characteristic of the team member. You were able auto assembly cross-function team. Now the AI able to help you to create team based on the project needs, ensure diverse skill set. If they find that any lacking skill of the skill set, then the training automatically will come in. You see, and in weekly structure changes. For the traditional organization, there's no way we change the structure every week. There's no way. Too much work, too confusing. So for the AI, then they're able to do a best matching, right? And they adapt the changing priority. And they will ensure for company to optimal resource allocation. Okay, so LASA is one of them, right? Yeah. So LASA have a AI team builders. They will use it to mass vision preparation. And there's a lot of successful demonstration about this practical use. Hire is a China company, right? Yeah, so applying companies. So that they have this organization, the AI org. So they're using AI tools to do a real-time performance dashboard. And they have this micro enterprise matching structure, so that you are able to match the organizational need, okay, in a very, very micro level. And look at that. The whole organization, they have 4,000 self-managed micro team, can you believe it? So they already have template. So that when you have a different situation, they will just plug all the template, then immediately they will form the team. There's reason that why Hire is so powerful. Okay, after IPO, Hire share is still very strong. And what's the result? The result, they were able to achieve 18% faster innovation cycles. So when we talk about AI, right? So we don't see a lot of implementation of AI in different organizations, but behind AI already helping organization, big organization or startup, yeah, in a various aspect. Our JP Morgan, right? This financial institution. So JP Morgan have this contract AI. So what they do is that they utilize the NLP model, okay, for legal document analysis. As a financial institution, there's a lot of financial investment acquisition, right? Also a lot of financial report. And the legal document is definitely tons of legal document need to be done. So they need to pay a lot of money to hire a big legal team. The lawyer handling all this, huge amount of document every day, right? But with this system, they were able to reduce the legal team by 70%. And result is about 360,000 hours of work automated annually. Wow. So then what is the implementation roadmap? There's a 4 process for us to implement the AI structure, okay, to build our dynamic organizational format. The first is access. We need to look at the current workflow process for AI automation so that we can take off certain manpower from our organizational chart. Don't do it. You test it first. It's what we call pilot. So we test AI team design in one department first, make sure that it works. Because if you mess up the whole organizational structure, it's a disaster, right? Then after that, once it's okay, you roll out AI-driven dynamic reporting structure because scaling. Then of course, end of the day, you keep on improving so that you have a best organizational structure. It is called optimization. Yes, everything have a pro and con, right? The challenge. Challenge is always resist to change. Resistance of change. A lot of people, right? A lot of manager, a lot of employee, they refuse to change, right? Yeah. So that is why the solution is AI. Sometimes you can do a simulation. So through the simulation, you don't implement first. You let the staff to experience the model, the changing model, right? By using the simulation. Yes, sometimes we cannot automate everything. We call automation. We cannot automate everything. So in this case, we must include human. It's a human and AI collaboration, right? So we call human in the loop hybrid model in the sense that no matter how the AI automate, the human still in the loop, being informed, being notified, so that anytime they can take back the control, right? Just like you have an autonomous car, right? If anything happens, you can take over control. That is the reason some recent disaster, people is also looking on that. In what how fast a human can take back the control, okay, from the autonomous car driving model. And sometimes AI is biased, so that we need to feed a neutral and diverse training data. We cannot give them a one-sided data. All of them are the key challenge that when we implement. We have this 2030 projections. So what is these 2030 projections? We predict that the self-modified organizational structure, will be changes. So it means that it's not human modifying, it's organization structure itself, it will self-change. That's quite amazing, actually. So mean today you go in, okay, you're working in this way, but next week you go in may be different. Okay, but of course change for good. You don't continue to change for bad, right? So then AI need to continuously giving you a report. And wow, I like this. It's called AI CEO, right? CEO plus AI. In fact, the Salesforce, right? Salesforce recently have, is a leader in the sales agent, right? Sales agent. Salesforce have the and this project, Okay, then mainly if for the Salesforce to make major decision, right? They also implement so this project called Einstein GPT project, okay, GPT for strategy. It's mainly helping the CEO. They also have blockchain plus AI, as I mentioned, blockchain plus AI is going to be a big thing in future. So it's a fully autonomous, decentralized organization. So that is the blockchain plus AI DAO. Okay, so that is the 2030 production future. So what is the key trend we see today in the organization changes? It's changing from a static organization, traditional organization structure into flexible architecture. And also we have the AI assist dynamic ecosystem, right? So by tapping into real-time data integration, we are able to create a dynamic and flexible structure. And the benefit of the dynamic ecosystem, you were able to enhance the responsiveness faster. Of course, the decision-making also can improve. So summarize our AI benefit, faster decision cycle, lower operation costs, and of course, end of the day, we want to improve the employee engagement. Okay. So that's what we have covered. Okay, sorry for the interruption tonight. Okay, so is there any question? Thank you. Chance, I run through a couple of questions, right? Thank you very much. Okay, yeah. So yeah. Bruno, okay, you want to share, right, about the app that you use? It's called Live Note. It's very interesting.
Okay, yeah.
Thank you, Bruno.
This one. First of all, the reason that I typed this is because you said about the AI CEO, and then there will be a lot of like they are going to make decisions as well as give us up some directions in order to the business developments. Especially this is what CEOs do. They offer the strategies, they offer the system or structure to how to pick everyone to join in. And then I just found out that there's a app called Knife Notes, and then I asked so many crazy questions, like I'm talking about like storytelling, talking about a brand for the marketing, or even I would talk about the entire business process, and they will also assign a expert to me. Normally, if you do this kind of thing without AI, without all the system, that would be quite a lot, like maybe over 10,000 US dollar. However, while you are using the knife notes, they will also immediately play the role as the mentor, and then they will tell you, let's say you are talking about business or talking about innovation. Tim Cook or Steve Jobs is going to tell you and become your mentor and then giving you all the direction. So that's actually fascinating. Yeah. Or even got Albert Einstein question. So that is a quite good experience. Actually, everyone can try.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Wow, next time we can invite Steve Jobs come in to teach together with us. Oh, this is amazing, unbelievable. Okay, yeah. So share it out. Okay, share it out. That is where I think the whole world is getting very, very, very interesting. Bruno, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
And then Bruno and Chance, this week what I'm doing. I'm so excited this week. So I'm doing the V0, Vercel, and Cursor. I tell you, I am developing the whole entire application with no coding at all. That is a great technology, okay? So basically the process is I go to the ChatGPT, okay, or DeepSeek. I generate my PRD, okay? Yeah, the product requirement, the document. For example, I will build an application, right? So from that, then I refine all the requirement. Then I take the requirement, I pump it into the V0, the Vercel, and they generate the whole entire front end and back end code for me, Can you imagine that? Then I take the whole source code and go into the Cursor. And Cursor do the configuration, packaging it, and then I upload to my GitHub and it runs. It's the first time in my life I experienced the fully vibe, VIBE, okay, is the key, it's a vibe coding experience. I love the world. I really love the future. So finally, okay, and we are integrating these modules into our BIAS. Finally, our whole entire entrepreneurship model, the entrepreneur, they can implement everything by themselves. So if you're familiar with our AI 8-level model, right, business model is, the first level is a passion. The second model that we're using, the business model is ideation. So of course, AI will come in to help them to craft out the whole entire business model. And then the third part is doing prototype. A prototype we using Figma, and then some of the five wire. We don't need that anymore. Adobe has spent 1.5 million to buy Figma. We don't need that because the V0, the virtual, able to take my document and generate the whole entire prototype, the code prototype, the coding front end. Then when we go to level 4 implementation, okay, that is where they need to go to programming, learn all the programming, or getting a software engineer to help them to do the level 4 implementation. Now this layer finally is being automated. It's a breakthrough for our AI entrepreneurship model level 4. So it means once they're able to take the requirement, they generate the business model and validate, straight away they can implement it. Okay, amazing. Vibe, okay, VIBE coding is a great thing. It's finally arrived in the world. So then they will go straight into the commercialization. Okay, yeah, it's why we are changing our BIS subject. One of the subject that is basically is no code, codeless programming, right? Yeah, so we are going to introduce that. Okay, very, very excited. Okay, I urge all of us must learn that. Then finally, we are reaching a complete the AI A-level framework as well. Okay, yeah, so thank you very much. That's why I go through it. I'm so excited, okay? Okay, then Bruno is experiencing the AI CEO application. Okay, so great. Okay, so is any other question there from everyone? Okay, yeah. Any additional add-on chance you want to share?
Sure. I may like to add a little bit on the, what should bias programming do, right? I really love the latest upgrade on the update, right, on our topics and the orientation and focus, because I think there are general rules in the AI age learning, right? Firstly, the technical stuff are all taken care of by, just using AI to assist your self-coaching and learning, especially in programming, right? But there are also the area we call the meta-knowledge domain. So the meta-knowledge domain means that the fundamentals of an industry, right? For example, in software, when we talk about software tech and and AI, I think the closest domain, the meta-knowledge domain, is software engineering. So before you can actually get into coding, I think it's not that you don't want to learn. It's not that you only focus on the high level stuff, but it's like you need to have a holistic view on the previous knowledge, like a tree, right? Because it's all about AI. The addition of AI in our learning is all about changing the entry point, right? The entry point become higher level, but it doesn't mean that you can skip the basics of software engineering. If you don't know the basic of software engineering, how to stitch the different components, front-end, back-end, databases, right, AI, API, everything together. If you don't have the discipline of the software engineering, you still will end up with a messy, situation. So that's what I mean by, meta-knowledge, learning. So basically, what AI actually changed the way we learn is all about. It's not that we can ignore certain part of knowledge. It's just that we have more flexibility. We have more, higher level focus when we just get into the field, and hopefully that, AI approach will make everything more interesting and more intuitive, right? For example, before we actually, in the past, we learn programming by just, start with the programming. We call them the programming language basics. what are the syntax, what are the basic primitives of programming languages. You do, tons of boring drilling to, which is like learning how to do the carpentry before you can actually become a professional coder or programmer. But now you can just, the teacher, the coaches in the Inky Bias program can just tell you, do this app yourself, right? And then you put yourself in the head of a product designer. You think of the feature, you think of the user experiences, then you go backward with all the other component and lower level stuff. So AI allows you, right, as a non-technical people who want to become more technical, you go from a high level, demand, which is more interesting, right? You know what the app is all about. You know what the teacher is asking you to do, to build. Then that by itself is a huge value added, and by using AI in our learning in terms of if you want to pursue the technology, a builder's check. Yeah, and that's what I want to say. Back to you, Patrick.
Thank you very much. Okay, wonderful. Okay, yeah. So tonight is so interesting. And I hope that this will give you a very good idea about building your structure, whether you're a startup company or you are working on the organization, right? We need to make sure that our organized structure is fit enough to cater for this coming world, because this coming world is going to be very, very a lot uncertain. Okay, and of course, it also represents a lot of opportunity also. Okay, yeah. So just work hard, be positive, and I hope that all of us have a wonderful journey. Okay, so thank you very much. Bye bye. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.